New Tesla Model Y leaked. Will it be too late? If you've recently been in the market for a Model Y, I can almost guarantee that you've heard someone say something along the lines of, "Don't buy now, the refresh is coming." As someone who currently owns a refreshed Model 3, I wanted to talk about whether is it worth it. Should you pass up on all of the great deals and just the overall good pricing of the current Model Y for all the refresh changes? So as most of you know, the Legacy 3 and the current Y are pretty much the same vehicles. They share roughly 70% of their parts, like Tesla went into Photoshop and just stretched the 3 out. So I'm a little bit shocked when I see people saying that they're going to wait to see what Tesla's going to bring to the table for the refresh Y, when in reality, all they have to do is just look at the refresh 3 and then copy-paste it to the Y. I'd be very surprised if Tesla did an entirely new redesign just for the Model Y. That's just not the maximized scaling, trying to grow as much as possible Tesla that we all know. And because I know some people are going to bring up Elon saying that the Model Y refresh is not coming this year, well, of course he's going to say that. Saying anything else, well, they might as well kiss their sales targets goodbye. And I'm not saying that he's lying, but they could have said the same thing last year over the refresh 3 because that didn't officially come out till January 2nd, I believe, here in the States. Also, most reputable leaks we've seen are pointing to essentially the same release style as the 3. It's going to launch first in Europe and Asia, more than likely at the end of this year, followed by the States early next year. And if you're still not sold that a Model Y refresh is in the works and is coming, well, we've already gotten our first sighting of a covered-up Y. Remember what Tesla did with the front and rear covers on the 3? Yeah, it's pretty much that. I can almost guarantee that we'll see something officially from Tesla about the Model Y within the next 12 months. So getting into the changes, first up the exterior, which is subjective. Some people like the new look, some people don't. I would say most people like the rear end with the new taillights and badging. The front is where you see some people have problems. I've said this in past videos, but up until the new performance model, I was not a fan of the front. I liked the headlights, just not the shape. It looked bland. Then came the performance, which changed up some of the lines, added the slits back and a lip, and well, yeah, I like this one. Like I said, it's subjective. You can like it or dislike it. I like it. Now real quick before we get into the next new change, Tesla, as of July 18th, has announced that if you place an order for a Model Y by August 31st and take delivery by September 30th, you can qualify for 1.99% financing. So if you do find yourself ordering one, then you're probably going to need some accessories. As for the interior, well, that's where the bigger refresh happened. And let's just go ahead and talk about the most controversial change, the removal of the stocks. This is the #1 reason I've seen people say they're getting the current Y instead of waiting. And I'm going to be honest with you all here. I went into purchasing the refresh 3, coming from my pre-refresh 2022 Model 3, thinking I was going to hate having no stocks. Like I was already ready to just criticize and hate it. But then I got to using it, and it reminded me a lot of getting used to region braking for the first time. I kind of just liked it, kind of just became normal. I just didn't care. The gear selector I got used to in literally 5 seconds with 0 issues. The turn signals are what took me some time, but after like 2 to 3 weeks, I could pretty much hit it anywhere, upside down with the other hand. It didn't matter. Did it take a little bit more brain computing power at first compared to how the car just had stocks? Yes, but I didn't hate it. I do, however, wish Tesla offered a turn signal retrofit just for the people saying that this is the reason why they're not waiting for the refresh, just so they're not missing out on everything else that makes this refresh just so much better than the previous generation. Next up are the seats, which feel almost the same in terms of comfort. I do think that the new seats are just a tad bit more comfortable, but it's negligible. The front seats are ventilated, which is very nice for those super hot days, and the ventilation goes all the way up your back. I do have a problem with the ventilation though, and that's that it's linked to your HVAC temperature. Let's say that you don't want the cabin as cold, right? Maybe you have an infant or kids or just passengers that just don't like it super cold, but you want your seat to be super cold. Well, it just doesn't work like that. I'm a windows down around town type of person. My first car didn't have AC, so I'm just very used to it. And having the HVAC off means the seats just won't stay cool, even if you set the blue bacon strips to manual and you put it on the max. So I'm hoping that Tesla releases some sort of update where the seat can be independently controlled from the HVAC system, kind of like how it is with the heaters. Now, I do have the Sport Bucket seats, which I doubt the refresh performance I will have. They didn't give the X-Plate sports seats when they gave the S-Plate the sports seats, which honestly is my reasoning. It also took until late 2022 for the Performance Y to get track mode, so I don't think Tesla sees the Y as a performance track car that would justify Sport Bucket seats. Though I hope I'm wrong and Tesla gives people the option to get the Sport Bucket seats in the Y because, well, I think they just look cool. Next up is the rear screen, which I actually feel is much more useful in a family-oriented vehicle like the Y versus the 3. Rear passengers can watch stuff from pretty much any of the streaming apps that are on the car, like YouTube, Twitch, and Disney, along with playing games and listening to music. And the best part is that they can connect their headphones, so they won't play over the car speaker and you can listen to whatever you want, as the driver. I honestly think that this is a big plus for people with kids. But then again, I feel like every kid I see nowadays just has an iPad, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. If you don't have kids, well, the rear screen is pretty much only ever going to be used when you need to move the passenger seat forward or backward. Interior ambient lighting is up next, and don't get me wrong, I like it and I think it does add some life to the cabin at night, but Tesla needs to put out an update that allows you to adjust the brightness independent of the screen brightness. These lights are just way too dim in my opinion. I still prefer my dash light strip, which I'll have linked below, that I had in my previous 3. It's not like them allowing you to, turn up the brightness would increase glare or something, because they've designed it to where you'd never see it in the reflection anyway. So I mean, if they just put out an update that lets me adjust the brightness, then I'll go from disappointed to not disappointed. Suspension comfort and driving noise. The current model, I already had the comfort suspension after. I believe it was the 2022 production year that made it much better than the old 3. But then Tesla refreshed the 3 and gave it better suspension. After riding them both, I think that they're about on par. But then enter the new Performance 3, which has an even better suspension than the regular Refresh 3. It has adaptive dampers, and when set to standard, is better than both the normal Refresh 3 and the current Model Y in my opinion. And you can almost bet that Tesla is going to upgrade the suspension once again in the Refresh Y, which is more than likely going to make it an even better ride than the Refresh 3. Up next is the stereo system. It does sound better, mainly in the lows and highs. Mids kind of sound the same. This is, however, only in the long range and performance of cars with the premium audio package. I believe the base Model Y, or I think it's the long-range rear-wheel drive is what they're calling it now, doesn't have the premium audio system. So if you were planning to get the base model anyway, well then this doesn't matter to you. Share in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to never miss an update. See you in the future video, and thanks for watching.